I need to discuss something that has just emerged. And if even a fraction of what these leaked documents contain is accurate, it fundamentally alters everything we believe we understood about Three-Eye Atlas. There are allegations, and I want to choose my words very carefully here because we're dealing with unverified leaks that suggest the United States has been monitoring this interstellar object for 2 decades, not since July 2025, when amateur astronomers first detected it, but since the early 2000s. Before we proceed any further, let me establish something crucial. I cannot independently verify these documents. They surface on forums notorious for hosting defense and intelligence leaks. Some of the technical specifications align with publicly available programs, but other elements remain completely unconfirmed. We're going to examine what's being alleged, investigate what could be verified, and allow you to form your own conclusions. Please hit that like button, because this type of investigation doesn't always get promoted by platforms. Let's dive into this. The fundamental claim within these leaked documents is startling. There exists a highly classified planetary defense program designated Cassandra, and this program has maintained continuous surveillance of Three-Eye Atlas since approximately 2003 or 2004. That's more than 20 years before the object's public discovery. If this is accurate, it means that while hobby astronomers were enthusiastically announcing their detection of the third interstellar visitor in July 2025, classified surveillance systems had already been monitoring it for 2 decades. Why would this matter? Why would the U.S. government secretly track an object that poses no immediate collision threat to Earth? Consider what Three-Eye Atlas represents. We've established in previous videos that this object measures approximately 17 miles across, roughly the size of Manhattan. At interstellar velocities, an impact from something that massive would constitute an extinction-level event, not merely catastrophic, not simply civilization ending for humans, but potentially life-ending for most species on the planet. The energy release would dwarf the Chicxulub impact by comparison. From a planetary defense perspective, any object of that magnitude entering our solar system would absolutely be a priority target for tracking, even if current calculations indicate no impact risk. You need to know where it is, where it's headed, and you need to maintain what's called custody of the object, meaning you never lose track of it. Here's where it becomes genuinely intriguing. The leaked documents reference a program architecture that was allegedly first proposed at the 57th International Astronomical Congress in Valencia, Spain, in October 2005. And here's what I can verify. There was indeed a proposal presented at that conference for an advanced near-Earth object monitoring system. The concept was theoretical at the time, focused on detecting and tracking potentially hazardous objects at extreme distances, far beyond lunar orbit. The proposal outlined a multi-layered surveillance network that would maintain persistent tracking of objects using a combination of wide-field detection systems and narrow-field custody systems. Wide-field detection finds objects. Narrow-field custody keeps watching them continuously. According to the leaked documents, this theoretical proposal from 2005 became operational far earlier than anyone publicly acknowledged. Let me walk you through what we can actually verify about the systems mentioned in these leaks, because this is where things become fascinating. The documents reference 3 main components: Oracle, Argus VPS, and Umbra. Here's the remarkable part. All 3 of these are real programs. Oracle is publicly acknowledged. It was launched in 2022 under the Air Force Research Laboratory as a cislunar surveillance program. Cislunar means a space between Earth and the Moon and slightly beyond. The official mission of Oracle is to track objects in that region, including satellites, debris, and anything moving through cislunar space. The system uses multiple satellites with both wide-field cameras for detection and narrow-field cameras for detailed tracking. This is documented. You can find Air Force press releases about Oracle. Argus VPS is also real. It's a persistent surveillance system designed to handle hundreds of simultaneous video streams. The technology comes from DARPA's Wide Area Motion Imagery programs. Argus can track multiple objects across huge areas of space simultaneously, maintaining continuous video custody of targets. Again, this is publicly documented technology, though its full capabilities in space-based applications are less clear. Umbra is a commercial synthetic aperture radar constellation. Synthetic aperture radar satellites use radar instead of visible light, which means they can image objects regardless of weather, cloud cover, or whether it's day or night. Umbra has been operational since 2021. While it's primarily marketed for Earth observation, the technology is equally applicable to tracking objects in space. Synthetic aperture radar can see through conditions that would blind optical telescopes. So all three systems mentioned in the leaked documents are real. They exist. They're operational. The question is, are they being used together as part of classified planetary defense architecture? And have they been tracking 3I Atlas since the early 2000s? The leaked documents describe how these systems would work together. Oracle provides a wide field detection and narrow field tracking in cislunar space. Argus VPS maintains persistent video custody of priority targets. Umbra fills in the gaps with all-weather radar tracking. Together, they create a layered surveillance network that can maintain continuous awareness of any object within a certain distance from Earth. At the center of all this, according to the leaks, is the Cassandra database. This is described as a massive data infrastructure that ingests tracking data from these sensor systems, correlates observations, calculates trajectories in real time, and maintains historical records that allow analysts to reconstruct an object's path backward through time. Think about what that would mean. If you detected an object in 2025 but had tracking data going back to 2003, you could calculate its trajectory with incredible precision. You could determine exactly where it came from, predict exactly where it's going, and identify any anomalies in its motion, like direction changes near perihelion or trajectories that impossibly target Jupiter's hill radius. This is where the leaked documents get really specific, and this is what makes them either incredibly credible or incredibly elaborate fabrications. The leaks include images allegedly captured in November 2025, showing 3I Atlas with metadata tags that reference Cassandra, Oracle, Argus, and Umbra systems. These images show what the documents describe as unusual structured emissions, geometric, multi-directional plasma patterns that don't match normal cometary outgassing. I cannot show you these images because I cannot verify their authenticity, and I'm not going to spread potentially fabricated material. The descriptions in the documents are very specific. They reference spectroscopic signatures, velocity measurements of the plasma streams, and geometric patterns that the analysts found anomalous enough to flag for further investigation. Here's what really strikes me about these leaks. If someone were going to fabricate documents about classified planetary defense systems, they would probably make them more sensational. They would claim definitive proof of alien technology, include dramatic revelations, and make it Hollywood style. But these documents read like actual classified analysis reports. They're technical and cautious in their conclusions. They reference specific sensor systems and data processing methods. They don't make wild claims. They just present observations and flag anomalies. That could mean they're authentic, or it could mean whoever created them is very sophisticated in how they fabricate classified-looking documents. I genuinely don't know which. Let's assume for a moment that some version of this is accurate. Assume there's a classified planetary defense system that has been tracking 3I Atlas for years. What would that tell us? First, it would explain why NASA seemed to have such detailed trajectory data so quickly after the public discovery. If they had actually been tracking it for years under a classified program, they would already have extensive orbital data, mass characteristics, and spectroscopic analysis. The public announcement would just be revealing what was already known in classified circles. Second, it would explain some of the oddities around the image quality issues we discussed before. If there are classified systems with much better imagery, the public releases would be deliberately degraded to avoid revealing the full capabilities of those systems. This is standard practice in intelligence work. Agencies don't release imagery that shows the resolution limits of their best sensors. Third, it would mean that when Professor Avi Loeb and other scientists are pointing out anomalies in the behavior of 3I Atlas, people in classified programs could have known about those anomalies for years and been analyzing them in secret. The public scientific debate could be happening in parallel to a classified investigation that's 20 years ahead. Fourth, and this is what some analysts are speculating based on the leaked documents, it would suggest that 3I Atlas might have been deliberately used as a test case for planetary defense readiness. Think about it. If authorities have advanced tracking systems and want to know if they actually work for real-world interstellar threats. What better test than an actual interstellar object that's large enough to be dangerous but not on a collision course? They could track it continuously, test detection systems, validate trajectory calculation models, practice maintaining custody of a fast-moving target over years, and do all of this without public panic because there's no actual impact risk. 3i Atlas would be the perfect test case. The leaked documents actually hint at this. There are references to validation exercises and long-term custody protocols that suggest the object was being used to test system capabilities. Again, I cannot verify this, but it's consistent with how military and intelligence systems are typically tested. Real-world targets are used whenever possible because simulations only get you so far. Now let's talk about what we cannot verify and what remains highly speculative. The claim that tracking began in 2003 or 2004 is impossible to confirm without access to classified databases. The claim that Cassandra is a fully operational system versus just a theoretical proposal is unverifiable. The authenticity of the November 2025 images cannot be established without forensic analysis that I don't have the resources to conduct. Most importantly, even if these systems exist and have been tracking 3i Atlas, that doesn't necessarily mean the government knows something dramatic about the object's nature that they're hiding from the public. It could simply mean they're doing their job, tracking potential threats and maintaining planetary defense readiness. Here's what bothers me about the timing. These leaks appeared right after the X-ray detection was announced and right after there was considerable public discussion about 3i Atlas being just a normal comet. The leaked documents seem designed to remind people that there are still unexplained anomalies, that there are still questions without answers, and that there may be information that hasn't been publicly disclosed. Is that because someone with access to classified information wants the public to know there's more to this story? Or is it because someone without access to classified information wants to create the impression that there's more to this story? I honestly cannot tell you. What I can tell you is this. Oracle is real. Argus Phoepheus is real. Umbra is real. The technological capability to track objects at extreme distances absolutely exists. Whether those systems have been tracking 3i Atlas since 2003 is unverified. Whether Cassandra exists as described in these documents is unverified. Whether the November 2025 images are authentic is unverified. But the fact that we're even having this conversation tells us something important about the state of planetary defense and space surveillance. The technology exists to do what these documents describe. The strategic logic exists to justify doing it. And the security classification systems exist to keep it secret if it is being done. We have leaked documents that may or may not be authentic, describing systems that may or may not exist, allegedly tracking an object that definitely exists and definitely displays anomalous behavior. December 2025 is still going to be crucial. March 2026 is still going to tell us whether 3i Atlas enters Jupiter's Hill radius. The scientific data will continue to come in regardless of what classified programs may or may not be watching. What these leaks do, whether they're real or fabricated, is remind us that there are always layers of information. There's what amateur astronomers see. There's what academic scientists publish. There's what government agencies publicly acknowledge. And there's what happens in classified programs that we may never know about. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments. Do you think these leaked documents are authentic? Do you believe classified planetary defense systems have been tracking 3i Atlas for 20 years? And does it even matter if they have, or should we just focus on the publicly available scientific data? I really want to hear your thoughts on this. 3 days after I published that video about the Cassandra leaks, everything changed. I was reviewing telescope footage from the Amateur Astronomy Network, the same community that first detected 3i Atlas publicly, when my inbox exploded. Not with the usual mix of conspiracy theories and technical corrections, but with something else entirely. Coordinated messages, all arriving within a 15-minute window, all from different email addresses, all containing the same attachment. A single encrypted file labeled Cassandra_validation 12.19.2025.ag. I almost deleted them. Almost. But something about the timing felt deliberate. These weren't random trolls or elaborate hoaxers. Someone wanted me to see this. It took me 6 hours to decrypt the file using a key buried in the metadata of one of the emails. When I finally opened it, I understood why. The document was a real-time observation log, not retrospective analysis, not leaked historical data. This was happening now. What followed were orbital mechanics calculations that made my hands shake as I read them. 3I Atlas had altered course. Not dramatically. We're talking about a deviation of 0.000003 degrees. In astronomical terms, that's microscopic. But here's what made it impossible. The change occurred over a 6-hour period, with no corresponding outgassing event, no cometary jet activity, no plausible natural mechanism. The document included spectroscopic data from all 3 systems, Oracle, Argus, and Umbra. The signatures matched. This wasn't sensor error. This wasn't data corruption. All 3 independent systems had recorded the same impossible event. And then I saw the timestamp on the next section, December 19th, 2025, 9:15 Universal Time Coordinated. That was 5 hours ago. The final page of the document contained a single line of text. 3I Atlas wasn't randomly passing near Jupiter. It had just adjusted its trajectory to ensure it would enter Jupiter's Hill radius. And someone inside Cassandra wanted the world to know. I had a choice to make. I could sit on this information, wait for verification, follow the careful protocols of responsible journalism, or I could understand that someone had taken an enormous risk to get this information out, and that delay might be exactly what they were trying to prevent. I chose to go public. Immediately, the video I published at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on December 19th was the most watched upload of my career. Within 3 hours, it had 10 million views. Within 6 hours, it had been taken down by YouTube for violating community guidelines. But by then, it didn't matter. The data was everywhere. Reddit, Twitter, every astronomy forum, every UFO community, every scientific subreddit. The genie was out of the bottle. NASA issued a statement at 6:47 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll never forget the wording. NASA is aware of recent online speculation regarding orbital perturbations of interstellar object C/2025 M1 Atlas. Our observations confirm minor trajectory adjustments consistent with asymmetric outgassing from volatile regions on the object surface. This is normal behavior for cometary bodies and does not indicate anomalous activity. We continue to monitor the object and will provide updates as warranted. It was a perfect non-denial denial. They confirmed the trajectory change while providing a natural explanation that the leaked Cassandra data had already ruled out. They were threading a needle, acknowledging the truth while maintaining the official narrative. But then something unexpected happened. At 8:23 p.m., Professor Avi Loeb published an emergency analysis on his blog. He had apparently been contacted by multiple sources within the astronomy community who had noticed the same trajectory anomaly independently. His conclusion was careful but pointed. The recent orbital adjustment of 3I Atlas cannot be adequately explained by known cometary outgassing mechanisms given the absence of corresponding spectroscopic signatures. While I am not claiming artificial origin, I am stating unequivocally that we do not currently have a natural explanation for this event. The scientific community needs complete transparency and data sharing on this object. Within 2 hours, 17 other astronomers had co-signed his statement. These weren't fringe figures. These were department heads, observatory directors, researchers from institutions across 3 continents. The wall was cracking. December 21st, 2025, winter solstice. Perhaps fitting for what came next. The Pentagon held an unscheduled press conference, not a routine briefing. A formal press conference with prepared statements and cleared speakers. The Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security stood at the podium with 2 others, the Director of the Space Force's Space Domain Awareness Program, and someone who was identified only as a senior official from an interagency planetary defense working group. The statement was unprecedented. The Department of Defense confirms the existence of a classified planetary defense monitoring program established in 2004 following recommendations from the international planetary defense community. This program, operating under appropriate congressional oversight, maintain surveillance of near-Earth objects and potential interstellar threats using advanced space-based sensor systems. We can confirm that interstellar object C/2025 M1, publicly designated as 3I Atlas, has been under observation since 2003. Recent trajectory data shows minor orbital adjustments that warrant continued scientific investigation. The object does not pose an impact threat to Earth. In the interest of scientific transparency and public awareness, we are releasing selected observational data to NASA and the international scientific community for analysis. Some technical capabilities and methodologies will remain classified for national security reasons. We will not be characterizing the nature or origin of this object beyond stating that it continues to display characteristics that require further study. That was it. They acknowledged Cassandra without naming it. They confirmed 20 years of secret tracking. They admitted the trajectory changes were real, and they very carefully avoided saying anything about what the object actually was. What followed over the next 72 hours was extraordinary. NASA released a technical dataset that had clearly been sanitized but still contained 20 years of tracking data. Independent verification was now possible, and what astronomers found confirmed everything in the leaked documents and more. 3I Atlas had made 7 previous minor course corrections during its approach to our solar system, all subtle, all below the threshold of what ground-based telescopes could detect, all perfectly timed to ensure it would pass through specific regions of space at specific times. The object wasn't just passing through our solar system, it was navigating. Dr. Chen Wei from Tsinghua University published the analysis that changed everything. Using the newly released historical data, she worked backward through 3I Atlas's trajectory. The object hadn't come from the general direction of Vega, as initially reported. It had come from a specific stellar system, Epsilon Eridani, approximately 10.5 light-years away. But more importantly, when she calculated the timeline, something remarkable emerged. 3I Atlas had left the Epsilon Eridani system approximately 11,200 years ago, traveling at a velocity that would bring it to our solar system at precisely this moment in history. The margin of error was less than 50 years across 11 millennia of travel. That level of precision was impossible for a natural object affected by gravitational perturbations, stellar radiation pressure, and 1,000 other factors that influence interstellar trajectories. Now all eyes turned to March 2026. The corrected trajectory made the Hill radius approach virtually certain. Whatever 3I Atlas was doing, Jupiter was clearly the destination. The speculation was immediate and global. Some theorized it was a probe conducting gravitational assists. Others suggested it was using Jupiter's magnetosphere for some unknown purpose. The more exotic theories involved refueling, data transmission, or rendezvous. But there was another possibility that kept me up at night, one that several physicists had quietly started discussing. Jupiter's Hill radius, the region where its gravity dominates, extends about 53 million kilometers from the planet. But there's something else in that region, something that doesn't appear in most planetary defense discussions: Jupiter's Lagrange points. Specifically, L4 and L5, the gravitationally stable regions ahead of and behind Jupiter in its orbit. These points accumulate debris over time. They're where the Trojan asteroids cluster. They're also places where objects can remain indefinitely with minimal energy expenditure. What if 3I Atlas wasn't passing through? What if it was planning to stay? As I record this on December 28, 2025, we're 90 days from answers. The scientific community is mobilizing every telescope, every sensor, every analytical tool available. The government has acknowledged that classified systems are watching. Amateur astronomers are coordinating observation networks. The whole world is watching. But I keep thinking about that encrypted file, about the person or people who risked everything to leak that data, about the timing, right when the object made its course correction, as if they'd been waiting for proof that couldn't be denied. Someone inside Cassandra wanted us to know, wanted us to be prepared, wanted us to be watching when whatever happens in March happens. I've received 2 more encrypted messages since then. I haven't been able to decrypt them yet. The keys aren't in the metadata, but the file names are suggestive. Cassandra underscore contingency underscore alpha. G. Cassandra underscore contingency underscore alpha and omega. Beginning and end. I don't know if I'll crack those encryptions before March. I don't know if I'm supposed to, or if they're meant to be opened only after whatever happens at Jupiter happens. But I do know this. We're not passive observers anymore. The secrecy is over. The data is public. And in 90 days, 3I Atlas will reach Jupiter's Hill radius, and we'll finally know whether we're alone in the universe, or whether someone has been making its way across 11,000 years and 10 light years to reach this exact point in space and time.